right, hello, good evening, and welcome to Pulse of the Week, your trusted weekly roundup of the nation's top stories and stories making waves across the country in terms of politics in our society, our regions, and wherever the news is. We get it for you here on Pulse of the Week. My name is Kofi Asante Mensah, and you're welcome to the program that measures the temperature of news in the country. We say news with integrity. We are live here at our Dental Studios. This is NSG News with Integrity. Just after this breather, I'll be ushering you into the major headlines of the week and also get onto Zoom to be granted an interview where we have a pollster and a man who leads the Global InfoAnalytics, and we would dive into more politics this evening. Please stay right there with me. My name is Kofi Asante Mensah, and when I return, we dig deeper into today's Pulse of the Week. All right, so welcome back, and we begin with the major headlines for this week, and we begin on the note of security and crime. We begin with the security matters, where the Economic and Organized Crime Office this week detained dancehall artist Shatta Wale while police investigation into murder of an immigration officer continue, with another suspect arrested in connection with the case. All of this happened this very weekend. I must say today, Friday, the 22nd of August, the suspects were actually arrested. Let's do something on tradition, because this very week we have witnessed some glamorous traditional exhibition in Asante region. All right, so in Kumasi, the Ashanti Kingdom stands still as the Asante Hine observed the 1 week rite of the late Asante Hima, and I was really admiring it, watching it on television. We had so many outstanding political figures like former president and vice president, current vice president and former vice president, and other political leaders. Also, former president Dankwah also attended that very function. And a little worrying situation is still in Ashanti region, but related to health. On health, a disturbing report from the Ashanti region shows over 200 maternal deaths per 100,000 births recorded in just the first half of 2025. Just imagine 200 maternal deaths in just 100,000 beds just within the first 3 months, the first quarter of this year. That's quite intriguing, and I know our health officials would rise to the occasion. Now let's dig deeper into politics, where I have my guest already on Zoom joining me pretty shortly, and we'll do some politics relating to the New Patriotic Party, because it is within this week that they granted some amnesty to all suspended members of the party, so that they can consolidate their base. Meanwhile, fresh data from Global InfoAnalytics suggests that Dr. Mahmudu Bawumia is leading, even in the Central Region, Kennedy Pond's hotbed, Central Region. I must say, Dr. Mahmudu Bawumia is leading over there. Still in politics, the camp of the ruling National Democratic Congress (NDC) have been reminded to fulfill their campaign promises, especially on dual citizenship. Please, the government or the ruling party and the government of NDC and the current government should pay attention to its promise on dual citizenship, and it is so critical. Also, still in politics, in Tamale Central, the party has announced candidate fees and nomination dates, and I know that by-election is coming up on the 30th of August. No, September, I must say, 30th of September. The 2nd of September is Akwetia, so the 30th of September would be in Tamale Central, where unfortunately we lost Mutala in that helicopter crash. So already we have some 3 women and 10 men who have picked nomination forms in that Tamale Central by-election. And you know already that the New Patriotic Party says they are not competing that very by-election. What they are competing is the Akwatia one. Okay, so other people were asking me if MPP says they are not competing the Tamale Central, why not? NDC could have pulled out or say we are also not contesting the Akwatia, so you can win the Akwatia and we can have the Tamale Central. Well, this is politics and this is democracy. All right, still in Parliament and in politics, a hot exchange as the Deputy Chief of Staff described an MPP MP as disgrace. You remember this very week we had the president travel outside the country and we heard from some members of parliament, especially Vincent Ekosefo, say that he traveled with a private jet. Unfortunately, the Deputy Chief of Staff, Standogbe, battled him on social media, and this is the week we are talking about. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have to hit our Zoom and begin, but not before I do this very one. This is a big announcement for our compatriots in the northern part of our country, because we are learning Burkina Faso is set to begin the spillage of the Bagre Dam on August 27th. Don't forget, today is 22nd. So in some few days, they would open the Bagre Dam. And you know the devastations it caused us in the northern part of our country. So please take note and prepare for this very, very opening of the Bagre Dam. Just a breather. Just after this single breather, we'll have a session with the man of the moment, the man who pulls and gets it right every time. Let's see whether this time around he will get it right. All right, so welcome back. I'm glad to have on Zoom right now, and I pulled up his profile. I pray this profile doesn't get missing on my cell here, but it's so important I read this. Yes, so you get to know him and appreciate his work so much. I know people, especially from the opposition New Patriotic Party, casting some doubts and doing so many stuff against him, but I know him as a very credible person who has worked around the world and is serving motherland with a lot of integrity. Please wait for me. Mussa K. Dankwah happens to be my guest online, Executive Director and Head of Global Research at Global InfoAnalytics. He is also the lead poster providing clients with insight into geopolitical issues. I had your interview with Bernard Avler on CTTV, and I was so much happy with that very, very interview. Doc, it's good to have you. Permit me to call you Doc. I think I said it before I realized it.
Thank you very much, but let me correct you. I'm not a doctor. I don't want G-Tech to come after me.
I know, right? G-Tech is doing a lot these days.
Yes, very busy.
Very, very busy. Please, let's go into our subject tonight. This poll, when did you do this?
This poll was conducted between 12th September and 12th August and 20th August. We just finished it last Wednesday. Yeah.
Wow. Take me through. How did you do it?
Right. This is what we call a random probability sampling using a computer-assisted telephone interview. We've gotten the telephone number, so the system goes around and randomly picks a number, and then a call center agent or our agent on the telephone will speak to the person and take them through the questionnaire. We interviewed 2,560 MPP delegates in this round of poll. And
can you take that number again?
2,560 delegates. And they were drawn from all the 16 regions and from 263 constituencies randomly out of the 276. So areas we didn't cover. Our confidence level for this survey is 99%, and the margin of error is plus or minus 2.4%.
Wow. And you put Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia first with some 52.
It wasn't me that put him there. It's the delegates that put him there. The people we spoke to, 52% of them said they would vote for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia if the elections were held at the time we spoke to them. And then you have 17% saying they were going to vote for Honorable Kennedy Ejapon. Then you have 3% voting for Brian Achampon, 1% for Dr. Yahweh Duchu. And then if you look at the data, about 18% of the respondents say they were undecided. And 9% said that they know who they are voting for, but they won't tell us. But from experience, we have come to know that those who don't tell us who they will vote for in the MPP delegates tend to vote for Kennedy Ejapon.
Wow. Okay, now let me take you through the exact question. Please take me through, I must say, the exact question you asked them. How many questions per person? Is it just who would you vote for if elections or the primaries also?
There were several questions. There were some that we haven't been published because of the number of questions that we have. We actually started by asking them about the notion, or there is an assertion that the whole MPP leadership need to go. And do they agree or disagree with this assertion? And on that question, 30% said yes, they agree that the whole party leadership must go. But 48% disagreed, saying that no, there shouldn't be a wholesale clearance at the top. But 22% said they were neutral about that question. And then we asked them whether they believe that the MPP can win the 2028 elections. And yes, 93% of them said yes, they believe MPP can win. Only 5% did not believe they would win. Then we asked them about questions around the General Secretary, who they intend to vote for, the party chairman, who they intend to vote for. And one thing that, or two questions we didn't publish, was whether ethnicity and religion played a role in the decisions that they were making. And we had the responses, which this morning we released an excerpt from that report as well.
Wow. And I'm not sure you've published all of this yet.
Not they've all been published, except for the ethnicity and the religious element, which we didn't put out in this main report.
So if you're sharing with me exclusively on Pulse of the Week with Kofi Asante, what would you say on the ethnicity and the religion part?
If you look at the religion part, about 9% of MPP delegates are telling us that religion was important for them in that decision they took. 9%. When it comes to ethnicity, it's about 8%. So you could see that religion is much more stronger and a force in the delegate than ethnicity.
Wow. You have been criticized. Now I'm taking your attention back to the main reason why we called you. That's in line with Dr. Bawumia's 52% as you pulled. And I don't know if you know this gentleman. His name is Dr. Razak Opoku. Is casting doubt at your polls.
No, we have come to understand that in this country, people don't accept polls. If you remember, before 2024 election, they said all sorts of things about us, but in the end, we were the only ones who stood firm on our numbers, and numbers panned out. So we take criticisms fairly, but some of them are baseless. It's not, based on science. And we believe that politicians, when it doesn't go their way, they tend to criticize you, and we understand that.
That's very true. Now, let's get a little bit off the polls and look at you talking to us, making analysis with us on this upcoming MPP primaries. Now, we have about, I think, 5 people who have picked up nomination forms, if I'm correct. We have Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. We also have Kennedy Ejapon. I don't know if Kennedy Ejapon has picked yet, but I don't have any information on him picking. Do you have?
Not really, but I think having a campaign office means that he means business. He's going to make a move.
All right, so Dr. Duchum is also there. Kennedy Ejapon is there. So at least we have Brian is also there. Who is your best bet?
Look, I don't want to dampen anybody's spirit in competing. And it's too early at this stage to bet. But if you push me to bet, I think the odds are for Bawumia to win the primaries. As to the magnitude of the win, we have to wait for a bit more time to see what magnitude or what will be the size of his win.
What do you think might be changing the minds of this same delegate who some 2 years back voted Ken, and Ken had over 30%? Going into a new election, people think Ken can make a lot of surprises.
Look, let's diagnose the problem from the delegates. If you look at the demography of MPP delegates, over 73% of them are older than 40 years, or 44 years old. They are much more older and conservatives. On an educational level, about 53% of them, their highest qualification is junior high. Now, you juxtapose this with the structure of the current population of this country. It is completely misaligned. So some of the feeling you may think is kind of feeding doesn't go into delegates. The delegates don't represent the demography of this country right now. So the sentiments out there that may give Kennedy an impetus does not get into the delegate. That is why people were saying that if the album had been changed, that would have given Kennedy a big chance. But the album remained what it was, and that is what is being used to vote, with a small tinkling here and there, which does not impact on the majority of the people who are going to vote. That's the first issue. And then you have a situation where about 9% of the people are not telling us who they want to vote for. So, for example, if you look at this data, Kennedy is on 17%. Now, if you should add that 9% to 17% for Kennedy, he gets 26%. This will be exactly the same number he got in the polling before the primaries. And then the numbers change a bit towards the end. Now, we have come to know that those who don't disclose their party affiliation, their voting intention, normally vote against the establishment, which has been voting for Kennedy in the past. We believe that his numbers is much higher than where it is 17%. But because they are not telling us the truth, we can't actually put those numbers exactly in his column. But there is opportunity for all of them to either close the gap or increase the gap, in the sense that in the Greater Accra region, a good number of them are saying that they are undecided or they won't tell us. And so is Asante region and Eastern region and Central region. And these are four key regions for any party, any member to win. If you do very well in these areas, you do well. At the moment, there are votes for grab in those regions.
Wow, that's a very solid analysis. But on the album, you mentioned that if they open it up, it is going to benefit Kennedy Pond. Is that what you said?
Yes.
So don't you think people are deliberately working against Ken Fortunes?
I think that bridge has already been crossed after they went to endorse their
conference. Yeah.
Right, their conference. So there's nothing Ken can do about it. And the power to do that album really sits in the hands of the National Executive Committee. And they have decided that that's what they're going to do. They were kind of protesting and kind of complaining, but it didn't go far. Because, look, the sentiments that are anti-Bawumia are not delegates at the moment. They are outside the delegate system. Until they feed into the delegate, those sentiments can be felt in the poll. Again, what is working against Ken is that there are extra or additional new candidates that are doing better than the previous ones. For example, Edichum 1%, Brian Chapon 3%. These numbers could have gone to Kennedy, but at the moment, it's not. So it's a bit of fragmentation among the candidates, whereas Bawumia dominates the North, as it did in the last election. So this is going to continue until there's consolidation or they find a way of cutting through the message and then telling the delegates what they think they need to hear. They must first find out from these delegates what is it that drives their vote.
Okay, you mentioned about anti-Bawumia. The people who are really against Bawumia are not delegates. They are outside the delegates or the delegation bracket. So they might not have the opportunity to elect Ken, and they have been silenced by the powerful executive power the current national executives have now. Do you think, after electing Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, I was a little bit intrigued when you mentioned that 93% said yes, they can win 2028, and 5%, is it 93?
Yeah, 93%
Were they lying to you, or they were really sure?
No, they are just being party, what we call them, delegates. You know, delegates are not real like other voters we have. They have interest in the party. They will die for the party, come what may. They are the guys who really have the party on their lap. Rain or shine, it is MPP. So for them, you can't use them as a benchmark against the rest of the country. But if your delegate don't have confidence you win, then where do you start from? So it's a very good number to have, that they believe you can win. So once you have leadership that they can trust, maybe that will galvanize them, and they will go down the country to campaign for you.
Do you suspect there could be some changes in dynamics between now, today you are granting us this interview, 22nd of August, till the 30th of January 2026? Could there be more changes that Ken can come top, or Brian can come top, or what do you expect?
Look, we don't expect the order to change significantly in terms of number one, Bawumia, number two, Kennedy, three, Brian. But as the differences is what might change down the line. But the challenge for Bawumia is to win much bigger than he did last time. I'm not sure he can do that in these primaries, because look, you have Brian Achampong, who I suspect may do well in the Eastern region when the campaign is up and running. So, and we've heard some rumors that the remnants of the ex-president Akufo-Addo are behind him. If that is the case, then you supporting him. If that is the case, then you expect a chunk part of the Abuakwa areas and the eastern part of the Eastern region to tilt towards Brian, and that would drain Bawumia's vote, and that may put him below the number he got last time. So that is worrying. And I believe he wants to win hands down. He wants to win much bigger number than he did last time, to show that yes, he is a candidate that people are probably behind. But as to whether that can happen, we're yet to see.
Let's talk about the party's unity. In the wake of all of this, do you think if by January 30th, Dr. Bawumia is elected as the flag bearer again for the 2028 election, is he able to bring everybody together? Party unity, you know, they have given in to some amnesty and all of that. Do you think Kenneth Japon, Educhum, Brian, Kwabena Japon, and Dainimo and the rest, Dr. Bawumia can bring all of them together to marshal the base for the 2028 election?
I don't think you have challenges with the rest of the candidates except Kennedy. Kennedy, depends on how they handle the campaign going forward and how the campaign unfolds in terms of the personal attacks and that kind of thing. He is the one that really has to be on board for them to show unity. If he's not fully on board, then there will be challenges. But if you look at the numbers that we have, you know, now, if by October we will run a scenario where we'll put top 4 or top 3 NDC candidates against top 2 or top 3 MPP candidates, and then you will see the behavior of people who are voting for Kennedy in those head-to-head. That will give you an indication as to whether they'll be divided or they'll be united.
Hey, you are smart. That's true. That's very true. So, but it's so obvious they would be quite united. They will talk to Ken, because previously, in even his first attempt, he was quite few. I think this time around he has calmed down a little bit.
Yes, I think he's measured this time around than before, and I hope that measurement and decency in campaign would continue, because we need to have a party opposition that is united, that is focused, and that Kennedy can help them do that if he doesn't win. But if he wins, I also expect Bawumia to support him.
That's lovely. Let's quickly talk about the Akwetia Ba election, then I will let you have some rest. It's Friday, so please go through with me. What are your expectations for some few, I think 10 days or less, or a little more, to go for the Akwetia elections? People are threatening, we'll defend ourselves, we'll pick up. You have super majority in parliament. They just need one. They've lost a compatriot. Why don't you resign from going NDC and give that seat to MPP?
Unfortunately, democracy doesn't work on compassion and sentiment. The rules are the rules, and the laws are the laws, and the law is the law. The law says that if somebody passes on as an MP, there must be a by-election. I mean, if you decide not to contest because you think you will not win, that's fair enough. But it shouldn't be because, oh, you feel that the death was tragic, so let me withdraw. That's not the problem.
Is that your estimation for the Tamale Central?
Oh, yes. I mean, the MP had the biggest majority in the country in the last election.
But they say it is out of respect.
Look, democracy is not about respect. You know, if you decline to contest, maybe there are good people in MPP who want to put their name forward, who want to try their chances, want to try their popularity and see where they fare, making way for the maybe next election. Now you withdrawing has denied them the chance to see how they can compete in that area. For me, it's a disservice. Even though I understand them from political point, there's no way they're going to win that seat. And then the overall sentiment in the area doesn't help them. And for that matter, there's no point going to waste money. So that makes more sense than the emotional or sentiment side of the issue. For me, that is better a reason to give than the.
So the call for the NDC to withdraw from the Akwetia wasn't right.
I don't buy that either. I don't buy that either. People should be given chance to contest and win the seat. You see, you must allow the citizens to pick from variety of choices, good choices. And we know that largely it's MPP and NDC that can bring good choices. When you allow one person to go, it tends to limit the competition, and then you see that things may not really be helping in building democracy. If you look at the NDC in Tamale Central now, I understand 15 people have picked forms. Why? Because MPP is not contesting. Yeah, if MPP was contesting, they will make sure that the cream of the cream are the ones who will pick the form. So you see how that decision may have affected the kind of people who are kind of putting themselves up with no disrespect. But if MPP was contesting, the fate for NDC would have been much narrower.
On that bet, before you even come back to the Akwetia on the Tamale Central, would you have advised the NDC executives to kind of shred the number or have what's the right word? A point that a red line, you can cross this?
No, I think what they will do is that they will go through vetting, and maybe some of them may not make through. They may not make it through the vetting, but if they do, they still have to run the numbers. If all of them qualify, then I don't know how.
How many days did they open the nomination? That we have 15 already. I have on record.
I think the second day of forms who are picking the form. So, and if you look at the number of people who are going to vote to elect, if that numbers are clear, then you find out maybe the person who wins may do so with about 150 or 170 votes, but the vote may kind of, and then if you add the opposition vote, it's much higher than the one who may win.
That's all right. Let's get back to Akwetia. And who do you estimate could have the sympathy of the people in Akwetia, looking at the sudden demise of what's his name, the MP for Akwetia who has passed on, Ernest Kumi, who would have the sympathy from the people to be able to win the seat at Akwetia?
Unfortunately, Ghanaians no longer vote with sympathy. Ghanaians have become very sophisticated, and sympathy no longer wins you any vote. I mean, a material vote that can win you any seat. Now, the last poll we did in Akotia about a few weeks ago, only 13% of reasons people gave to vote for their MP was based on sympathy. 15%. There were top 3 issues that they were mentioning, or they kept mentioning. They were mentioning development projects, they were mentioning the economy, and they were mentioning education. And then fourth, Galamsey. So these are the issues that bother voters in Akotia. Sympathy and personality of the MPs were the bottom 2 or so. So it will not weigh much in Akotia constituency because Ghanaians have become a different kind of voters. We no longer vote based on those sympathy, but reality, our economic life, daily lives. Now, these kind of top issues may not favor the opposition because opposition candidates will not be able to provide development compared to ruling government candidates. Opposition parties don't deal with economy of the country. It's the ruling party. And when it comes to education, it's again the government in power who provides education. So if education is quite important to you, you're not going to go and vote for opposition candidate provided with education. So that is the first challenge MPP may have. Even though they were leading 6%, that is something that may be a warning sign for them come next week. Then again, in the demographic analysis of the voters in Akotia, we discovered that 3 minority groups who normally vote for NDC were telling us that they intend to vote for MPP. These are the Moli Dagbani groups, the Gan Adangbe groups, and then the Ebe groups. Now, anywhere you find this guy saying they will vote for MPP, you have to take that with a pinch of salt.
Wow. It's never going to be true that they would vote for MPP. They're just lying.
No, especially when they live in an area that is not their base. We've seen that in Aseno. For example, if you are a settler in those areas, they are settlers in the Achim land, and they mostly farm or work on the cocoa farm that belong to the Achim people and so on and so forth. You have to blend in.
So that they are scared?
I mean, not scared per se, but victimization. We have come to interview people, voters, who tell us that, look, they will tell us, oh, I won't disclose my party affiliation. They won't tell you the party you support. But then if you look at his behavior in the poll, it tells you what or who he actually is. So over time, we've come to understand some of these people and the way they behave. So in terms of pattern and the track, the way they vote, the pattern of their voting, they don't normally vote MPP unless they are in their own area and they are naturally MPP and they'll vote that. In Aseno, the same thing they said to us. And on the election day, they switched their vote completely to NDC. And that's why the person won with a bigger margin. If that happens in Akotia, we may see Aseno again happening in Akotia.
I was coming to you on this Aseno because you mentioned that being in opposition is so difficult because the development, the economy, the education, and all of these things you mentioned, it is government that leads all of this. And these are the things that people want. 15% or 13% say we will vote out of sympathy. And I don't know for the others, including Galamsey over here, but if we talk about education, we talk about the economy and development and fighting against illegal mining and Galamsey, it is only the government in power that can do this. But this example wasn't truly true at Asen North when Judge Christian and NDC were in opposition.
And as Asen North at the time was used as a bellwether for the general election. The MPP's candidate actually was leading in the first week of in fact, 4 weeks before the election, the MPP candidate was leading in the polls because he was campaigning on his own personal record as a philanthropist. So he was doing much better against the situation. But when the party came to take over his campaign and begin to pump money in the constituency, people got angry. So it became like a protest vote against MPP in Asen North. And you know that election happened, I think, less than a year before the general election. So that kind of election is like a test of how the ruling government was going to be punished. And normally in general election, by election, they use that to test the popularity of the government. And in Asenov, it was used for same effect. But in this particular one, you are in just about 8 months into government. The new MP will be in parliament for about 3 years. It will be difficult for MP to say we'll do this and that and that and that for you when you're in government. It is much easier for NDC campaign than it will be for MPP campaign. If the MPP win the seat, it might do so because of the popularity of the candidate they put there. But if the NDC wins the seat, it will be because the party would have carried the candidate to the finish line, not the other way around.
Mr. Mussa Dankwah, are we then saying a constituency that has its MP in the minority, we shouldn't expect development from there?
Not that we shouldn't expect. You know this country and how it works. You and I are not new to today's politics of this situation. We know that when a party is in opposition, the road minister and other things don't pay much attention to the areas of the opposition. We've seen that in the past. I don't know whether it's going to change now, but if history is to guide us, this is what we have seen. Now, it is because we have made the MPs agents of development rather than lawmakers. So they tend to lobby for development projects to happen in their areas. If you are from the ruling party and you are an MP, you go to the road minister, he will open his door for you quicker than if you are from the opposition. You go there several times before you get something done. But if you are from a ruling party, it is much easier.
That's very true. I'm going to leave you here so you can some rest, but I think I forgot to talk to you briefly about the general secretary aspect, because I was so much happy with the polls on the general secretary part. CT News captured it this way: incumbent general secretary of the New Patriotic Party, Justin Kodua Frimpong, is leading the race to retain his position, according to a new poll released by Global InfoAnalytics on August 21st, 2025. The polls shows Frimpong with 44%. I was thinking people are angry with Justin Kodua Frimpong.
Who is angry? The delegates or general NPP voters? Delegates are not angry from what we have seen so far.
Wow. Mr. Mussa Dankwah, a pleasure having you. I don't know if you have something else you would want to put across. I'll be happy to have
That's
you.
it for us. That's it from us.
Thank you very much. Thanks for joining our show this evening.
My pleasure.
People, that's Mr. Mussa Dankwah joining our desk this evening on Pulse of the Week. And just after this breather, we'll come back to wrap up the show. All right, so welcome back, and we are talking about this very week where we had a lot of activities and events. And this week, this is the week that Yoko and Shatta Wale issues became very, very hot, where Shatta Wale was basically detained and he wasn't able to meet his bail condition, and he was detained. And we had some youth from the streets of Accra flooding the place. It wasn't easy. And this is the same very week that all of this happened. Would you want to drive a Bugatti? Shatta Wale. There've been a lot of advice for Shatta Wale, more because people said you have gone around the world without driving Bugatti. So why do you want to force yourself and live a life that will bring you down or disgrace and all of the stuff? And when you have a case that the United States is actually a part of it, the FBI is part of it, you've got to be very careful, Shatta Wale. So people on the street, he said he bought the car from the street. Justice, my producer and my everything here. Justice, how can you buy the car from the street? You don't know the person, the number of the person, the contact number of the person. You can find it. Receipt. Actually, hey, Shatawale. Okay, it's the same week Asante Hine also observed that beautiful traditional and cultural 1 week rites for Asante Hima. Yakache Nana Hima say Nana the year. So the big funeral will be coming up, and that reminds me, I think Daddy Lumba's 1 week will be coming up at the latter part of this very month, and it will happen here in Accra. But the funeral itself, I understand from the royal family that it will be held in Kumasi. We would be here in Accra for the 1 week, and we will be coming to Kumasi for the main funeral, because Lumba is a legend. I understand Nana Chapon has also done a song for Kojo Fosu. That's the title. A song he prepared, a tribute song he prepared for Charles Kojo Fosu, aka Daddy Lumba, SKADL. Yes, AKA means also known as. SKA means simply known as. It's simple. Daddy Lumba, AKA. Okay, simple DL. So simply known as DL. All right, so it's the same week Dr. Mahmudu Bawumia took lead that next year flag bearership race. So he has whipped everybody. He's whipped everybody. Brian Champon. Small boys, you want to say what? Bold leadership. We are talking about the digital man. So it's the same week, and when some key people reminded John Mahama and the NDC to fulfill their campaign promise on dual citizenship. Very, very important. And the opening of the NDC's Tamale Central primaries, where we understand between 13 and 15 people have already picked up nomination. And this is the week NPP also granted amnesty to but this guy, what's his name? Dennis Miracle Abuaje. He's telling Hobson Adoye that the amnesty, you people, you are not part of. Wow, that's quite hot. All right. This is the week one person was basically arrested in connection with the immigration officer who passed on. They murdered him. This is the week. This is the very week the IGP also held a stakeholder meeting between the political parties and also the Electoral Commission. This is the week the Electoral Commission itself started printing of ballot papers for the Akwetia Bar election. And this was the very week the Deputy Chief of Staff had a banter with an MP, Vincent Asefua, on social media, and he called him a disgrace of an MP. And many people said, "Stan, this is un-Ghanaian. We don't insult like that. Unpresidential. You are from the Flagstaff House, Deputy Chief of Staff. You don't talk like that. Even though it's social media, you don't talk like that, Stan. Please, revise your notes." I remember this guy, the former director for Dankwah in terms of communication from the president, Eugene Ahen. Eugene, quite calm, cool, calm and collected. Yes, he will issue a statement. He won't insult you. So I think Felix Kwachofusu is doing well. Brian, did I say Brian? Stan, I beg you, please, let's emulate that. And before we go, a quick reminder to our friends in the northern part of our country. Please be noted that on the 27th of August, Bagre Dam will be opened. Please prepare. And it's a caution to government, John Dramani Mohammed's government. Please, let's do everything possible to avert the disaster of the opening of the Bagre Dam. My name is Kofi Asante Mensah. On behalf of the able team, I say a good evening to you, wherever you are watching us from. We love you and we thank you for being there for us. From the production team, executive producer, and everybody here at NSG News and Pulse of the Week team, we say have a good night.